I am an anatomist. Today I'm going to tell you a very scary story, one of the most unforgettable tales I cannot forget all my life. The story began when 4 corpses came to the morgue. The body of a mother and 3 of her sons, a baby, a young man, and a girl. And at that time, I was forced to work alone at the autopsy because my assistant, a circumstance happened to him, and he had to ask permission and go. I am not afraid because this is my job, and I have been used to it all my life, living among corpses, and I have seen a lot of what no one can bear to see. Suffice it to tell you that he comes to us daily in the morgue, dead bodies or bodies that died in accidents, and a lot of the times I see meat without showing any signs. But what I saw in these 4 corpses no one can ever bear. When I was informed of the arrival of the 4 corpses, I went to the morgue in order to start my work where the 4 bodies were on the steps. I decided to start with the mother's body. I went towards her and opened the bag that was inside. The sight of the body was very terrifying. Her face was blue and wrapped a piece of cloth on her neck, and this indicates that she died of suffocation. This shows on her facial features, and strangest of all, there is a layer of cement on her body. I don't know why there is cement on it. The important thing is that I left the body and turned my face to prepare the autopsy instruments. And I was preparing the instruments. I heard a voice coming from behind me. I turned around to see the corpse's hand moved from its place and came out of the autopsy trapeze. I put on gloves and lifted the corpse's hand and put it next to it. And I said to myself, this is a normal thing that happens a lot. But when I turned my face to get the dissection tools, I heard a voice for the second time coming from the side of the body. When I turned around, I found the other hand moved like the first one out of the trapeze. So she went to the body and put her stiff hand next to her fat body. The other hand came out for the second or third time out of the trapeze. I returned it again and turned around to finish processing the autopsy instruments. I finally got them ready so I could start the autopsy. But I was shocked by what I saw and stood for seconds in a state of shock from what I saw in front of me, because I found that the body's left foot is outside the autopsy table. And this is impossible to happen, and there is no logical explanation that makes the body move its foot, which is basically stiff. Which means she's in a wooden state, and it's impossible. She's moving. This is because the anatomy trapezoid has its sides high so that it prevents anything from falling during the autopsy. The exit of the body's foot is impossible. Made me fix my place from the shock. At this moment, I realized that there is something preventing me from dissecting the body. What is this thing? Is he a body mate? Is he a spirit? Or is he a goblin? No matter what this thing is. But surely there is something that refuses that I am doing an autopsy. It wants to get a message to me, but what is this message? I don't know. Everything that happened I'm used to. And any autopsy doctor knows very well that there are unknown things that happen during the autopsy. These things try to scare you with simple movements, like what happened, and then they start bothering you with strange and scary sounds. Or she damages the anatomy tools. But if you are afraid of these things and weak in front of her, unfortunately, you will be hurt. You have to be strong and take the fear away from you, and I really tried to take the fear away from me, but unfortunately what happened before was beyond my endurance. Now, statata. After what I saw in the body and the strange movements it makes, I told myself that I had seen a lot in this business. I shouldn't be afraid of a handshake and these silly things. But after I got the tools, I decided before I started the autopsy to tie the feet of the corpse with a piece of cloth so that it does not move a second time from its place. I already brought a long white piece of cloth and tied the 2 men tightly together. In this way, I responded to the movements of the body that I am not afraid and I will not stop the autopsy no matter what happens. But the body had another opinion. Every time I grabbed the scalpel to dissect it, it broke for no reason. And also, the saw broke down and all the devices were damaged. And that made me make sure this lady was dealing with magic and goblins. This made me leave the body and go to see the prosecutor's note and understand what happened in this lady. I found out that this lady's name is Sarah and she's a divorced woman. Her brother visited her before her death and saw that she had given birth to a baby a few days ago. When her brother saw this baby and she was divorced a little while ago, he told himself that his sister had had a haram relationship, and this child is a haram son, so he strangled her in revenge for his honor. And her eldest son, when he went to the detectives, reports the crime. He was in a state of panic and was not psychologically balanced. He told detectives that his aunt killed his mother and put cement on her in a hole in his house. And when the son arrived home, he saw this scene. He was afraid for his sister and baby brother, so he killed them and decided to commit suicide by drinking poisonous pills. And he actually took it and died at the police station. Police have reviewed CCTV in the area. She had already seen her brother coming out of the house at the time of the crime. It turned out that the son was inside the house 3 hours before the murder. When the police went to arrest the uncle, they found him dead. After I read the prosecution report, I went back to the body to write my report. And I noticed in this body that the internal organs are at the beginning of rotting, and it smells very ugly. The neck was found with marks confirming her death by strangulation. But the force used in the strangulation was very large, exceeding 3 individuals, and the strangest thing I noticed in this body. The symbols and tattoos written on her body in green are strange symbols of sentences I don't understand, and a small table on the back with untidy numbers inside. The body appears to have been dead for 24 hours. And what made me even more terrified is that while examining the body, she was surprised by the disappearance of the white piece of cloth with which she tied her feet. See, who undid this piece of cloth?